Are you sick of looking at twerk videos and you really just need a bad one for yourself? Well, you don't have the right game, and I can show you with this plugin. Let's go.
With suits and slacks and clicking and clacking it, but one thing about it, you wasn't deaf on the bitch like me. I'm the best thing going with a hoe that know how to go.
All right, y'all. We are talking about the RC-20. We're getting on our nerdy game. We are talking about retro color 20. I don't know what the 20's for, but you know, I don't know. You put a number to it and it sounds like something serious. So that's what we're doing. Check it out. This plugin is just like Reels. I covered Reels before by audio thing. This one is the RC-20 by XLN Audio, and it does the retro thing, which means you got hiss, you got noise, you got wobble here, you got tape distortion, tube distortion, whatever you want to select. You got digital distortion, bit crushing, all sorts of weird noises you can make out of this thing. And then you know, you got space, which is some reverb. If you want to, like, you know, make it sound like it, you know, in outer space. You feel me? You might need a little spaceship action and to zoom up to the top, you know. So you got that. You got magnetics, which is you know, going through like the magnets on tape, if you know, the real heads and stuff like that. So it's got some really cool shit. You got flutter, you got dropouts, and you know, you can really like take something and make it sound shitty as hell, and that's the point of this, is you're making it retro. Let's get into it. I'm gonna play this, and I'm gonna mess around with this RC-20. I'm gonna go through some presets, and then you'll see what's going on. All right, you get the point. So you can really make this sound like anything. And honestly, this has like really dope presets in the box, which is super important for me because I know there's a lot of people who like to tweak the fuck out of their plugins. I like to just like open it and get to work and, you know, make a song real quick and then go to the next one. So one of my favorite presets here is VHS. And obviously, if it says VHS on it, then we're taking it back to the 90s. I got the RC-20 here on this Bell piano. I'm gonna go ahead and mess around with it. I'm gonna show you all the things to do with it and what not to do and all the things I like and what's going on here. First thing, when I open a preset, I typically don't like this noise, man. Like, if I'm like an engineer when it comes to this, so like anything noisy, I want to get rid of it. Like I go to great lengths to make things not noisy. You can make something retro and not noisy, so I toss the noise. The next thing, I'm not really big on digital distortion, bit crushing, all that type of stuff, so I get rid of the bit crushing. And really where this plugin, like, you know, does it for me is the wobble, which kind of like takes the pitch of whatever is going through the plugin, and it like it basically bends it up and down, you know, similar to what a vinyl would do. Next, distortion here is really cool. You have a bunch of types. You have obviously tube here. You got, you know, some transformers and some other options as well. And then the really cool part for me is the tape head emulation that they have, which is this magnetic section right here. And you can really do some cool shit. Like this dropouts part is really cool. I'll show you this real quick. So it just makes it kind of like randomly drop out, and that's tight. Obviously, you want to do everything like really subtle if you want it to sound real. Also, you can control the rate and like how quick it drops out stuff. So that's what's going on right here. Obviously, this knob right here is showing you how much it's dropping out by. So if it's like taking down the volume, if you do it like, you know, 5%, 10% or something like that, then you're looking pretty cool where it's not like ducking the whole thing. But if you turn it all the way up, yeah, you're like ducking pretty much. The next thing here is you have a stereo option where you can, you know, affect this, you know, on a stereo or a mono sense. You have the next part probably that I would mess with is the wobble. And I'm going to turn it up so you can really hear the wobble. Pretty goofy, right? So this shit sounds like, yeah, it literally sounds like, you know, like a toy or something. But that's cool because you want it like that low definition when you think of like what toys sound like when you like, you know, hit the button on the bear, you know, like the little teddy bear and it talks to you. You can really just literally make it sound like that, so. But obviously you have your mix knob, your controls, stereo, mono, your rate, you know what I mean, of the wobble, same type of deal there. And then you have, you know, your flutter rate as well. The next thing is the distortion. Distortion, you have to be very subtle with it because if you distort something too much, you start, you know, making things sound like rock guitars. Yeah, I'm just gonna go mess with this distortion. Check it out. I typically like this iron, which is basically modeling transformers and the iron of the transformers, the windings. So basically this iron distortion, it's definitely like more low-endy, and it kind of like gets rid of the harshness and the highs, typically what I think of anything lo-fi, you know what I mean, or coming off vinyl, so. Here you also have this focus, which is where you're determining the frequency at which the distortion is happening. Say you don't want to distort the low end of the signal, you have the option to, you know, bring up your, basically your curve here and really tell where you want the distortion to take place. And that's really good if you're doing anything with low end material. Like say you have something like a sample and you want to make it more messed up, but you don't want to like kill the bass, that's what you're going to use that for. And then, you know, like I said, I don't really use the digital much. You can do bit crushing. You can make something sound like 2-bit, you know, 4-bit, 5-bit, whatever bit. But you can make it sound kind of like crappy is the best way to explain it. And honestly, this bit crusher sounds really good. So if you're going for like a bit crushed effect where you want to automate a bunch of parameters, this, I would just use this plugin to do the bit crushed effect. So it has really dope sounding bit crusher. They obviously spent a lot of time modeling that. Spaces, I'll keep it real. I have way doper reverbs. You know, it's good to have it in here so, you know, you're not killing your CPU with reverbs. So you have reverb options here. I'm not really using it very often, to be completely honest. Some of the other options in the RC-20 are on the input. So you have an EQ on the input. This is really good for kind of frequency limiting what is being fed into this. So if you're trying to go for lo-fi, you might want to get rid of the high end, for example, before you start, you know, messing around, wobbling and distorting it. So you have that option to like really, you know, figure out your tone going in. You can really change the shape of the curve. You can make something basically peak out and have like a resonant frequency, which kind of happens a lot if you're doing like tape, VHS, all these types of different distortions and stuff like that. And if you're trying to model stuff, this is like really where you can get really down to the fine tune. And then on the output, you have width here and you have gain. The width is really dope because sometimes like these formats, you might want to make something completely mono, or you might want to have it, you know, keep your same stereo on it. So, you know, you have that option there as well. So I'm just going to mess with it. I'm going to play it, and that's kind of the overview of the RC-20. that is the RC-20. Really dope plugin. It's like pretty decently priced. It's like 80 bucks. If you can't afford it, then you know you better just go save your pennies, work some Uber, go get it, because it's worth every dollar. And if you're making modern hip hop, you definitely need that. So go pick that up. All right, y'all. Plugin Jesus. I'm out of here. Stay tuned next week.